Podcasting will change your life, all because there are conversations that I want to be shared that I do not believe are being shared, and I will learn how to do it. Hey, you guys. So I just got done recording with a podcast guest for the You Are a Lawyer podcast. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about the 6 things that I absolutely love about being a podcast host. Okay. The number one thing, you are the show manager. The enthusiasm of the guest, the speed of the interview, the questions that you ask, how in depth you get, all of that comes from you. That power is beautiful. Okay. I think a lot of times when people are afraid of hosting their own podcast, it's because they're like, I do have all this power. What if I get it wrong? What if I don't ask the right things? And for that, I say, relax, have your notes. I like to schedule all of my guests with Honeybook. And so Honeybook will actually send you a summary of the recording before it's time. Right. And that will prep you. Okay. You don't have to do all of the work yourself. They use AI. It sends you a download, a summary of all the things, and you'll be ready. Okay. The second thing I absolutely love about being a podcast host is working with apps that make hosting simpler. Okay. I have a questionnaire that I have every guest complete. As of April 2026, my podcast is 6 years old. I used to spend hours finding people on LinkedIn, emailing people from my old law school. I just got married. So I'm like, hey, this is Kyla Denanyoh, formerly Kyla Hemphill, who you know from law school. Would you be on my show? And I recorded with 7 people before I even launched because I was afraid that I would not have enough guests. I did not realize how difficult it was to have an interview-based podcast, but I was like, I'm doing it. And so now I don't pitch to anyone. In fact, the last 2 times I pitched to people, they flaked. And I was like, well, that makes sense because I'm reaching out to you, telling you I have a need versus you coming to me and saying, I'm going to promote my brand on your show. The incentive is different, right? So people go to my website, they click on the work with me portion, and then they click on the link and they fill out the form. I am constantly getting notifications from Honeybook about guests signing up. And you click on it and you can see all of the details that they filled out on my form. Okay. I want to know, did you go to law school? Did you enjoy being a lawyer? What are some things that you're doing? Right. And I know that sounds weird. Why would you ask them if they went to law school? Because what if you're just having fun playing around on my site? I've had people fill that out and say no. And then I get to just email them and say, I only talk to lawyers. Right. And so I love making podcasting easier. Honeybook will send a reminder to the guest a day before, and it will send a reminder an hour before. That includes an email reminder and a text message reminder. Hey, don't forget you have this recording. But you can set that up to be however you want. If you want it a week before, if you want it 3 days before, 15 minutes before, whatever you want. So Honeybook really makes it easy to handle the guest management and keep everything in line and everything in control. Because the third thing that I absolutely love about podcasting is that you can decline guests. When you are the host and you have an interview-based show, you can and probably should decline guests. You can absolutely say, I don't think that's the right fit for my audience. You can absolutely say, I think this is a little too promotional. I'm not interested. Again, you have all the power, you're in control, and this is your show. You want to put guests in front of your audience that you think are going to expand the brand, expand your reach, expand the audience's education. If they're not going to do that, thank you for your submission, but no thank you, right? You are completely allowed to do that. And also, I would say you are not rejecting them. You are telling them you are not interested. And I need you to know that those are different things, okay? So the fourth thing, you can run it like a business. So I am a formally trained lawyer. Then I worked in law firms for about 6 years. And when I tell you, I had email templates out the wazoo. If a guest says no, here's this. If a guest says not yet, here's this. If a guest says this, if a guest says that. But then I started working on Honeybook and was like, bam, 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 bam. I'm a professional. I'm the one that's saying, hey, I hope you had a great Monday. By the way, I need these X things. I hope your kid's doing well. Where's that thing that I gave you last week about it? Or could you provide an update on so-and-so? I run my podcast like it is a business, and I believe that's why I have the results that I have. It is January 2026. I am recording for episodes to go out in May 2026. To be 5 months ahead requires a very strategic brain, a very strategic process. You don't do that by accident. For one, who would keep track of who's coming in and who's editing and who's doing? If you run your podcast like a business, even if it is a fun, silly entertainment news podcast, if you run it like a business, you will get those kind of results because the return on investment of the time, the strategy, right? Honeybook is not cheap. The hours and hours and time that it spent for me to create templates was not cheap, but it pays off. So the fifth thing I love about being a podcast host is that you can choose to monetize or you can choose not to. A lot of times people will not respect stuff if there's not a cost associated. And by people, I mean the podcast host. If I am showing up and providing value and nobody's paying me, no one's paying for my time, no one's paying for my energy, what's my incentive to provide a great show, to show up every day, to reach out to people who sometimes are a little bit rude, sometimes could care less about my brand. They're here to promote their stuff. What's my incentive? Your incentive is that you are getting better. Your confidence is increasing. Your public speaking skills are increasing. Your empathy is increasing. Your research skills are increasing. All of these things are increasing as you are a podcast host because you are showing up as literally the voice of your show. I say voice because if you don't have a video podcast and it's only the audio, you are the podcast. Yes, people show up to listen to the guests, but they show up to listen to the questions you ask to the guest. You can choose to monetize if it's easy, like someone falls in your inbox and says, hey, I want to pay you some money. Or you can choose to monetize because you pitch to companies and say, hey, would you like to get in front of my audience? For me, people reach out to me. And so that still falls in the vein of money falling into my lap and saying, hey, can I pay you to do this service? The absolutely last thing that I absolutely love about podcasting is that it will change your life. When I speak about podcasting, when I blog about podcasting, when I'm on panels and things like that about podcasting, I have to emphasize how I am not exaggerating when I say that podcasting will change your life. Not only has it made me a more confident speaker and a better speaker, but podcasting has let me meet 235 lawyers that I would have never met before. Okay, every season of You Are a Lawyer, I interview someone who went to my law school, which is Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I also interview another 15 lawyers who I did not go to law school with. And I never would have met those people if it wasn't for this podcast. I never would have been invited back to my law school to speak about how the podcast has expanded my brand and my story. I can literally put up a short form video of me and someone will say, hey, love that shirt. Can I buy it? Podcasting will change your life, all because I took the risk of saying there are conversations that I want to be shared that I do not believe are being shared. And I'm committed to doing it. I started You Are a Lawyer because I'm obsessed with diners, drive-ins, and dives with Guy Fieri. I watched his show and I was like, he's talking to all these people who would have never had this platform. And if this show gets massive, a rising tide lifts all ships. And I was like, he is going to boost all these businesses just by being associated with his show. I can do that. I'm committed to doing that. I'm going to start a blog. And I got ready and I was like, well, I'm going to record the interview so that then I can type the notes. And my husband says, hey, podcasts are a pretty big deal. Why don't you make it a podcast? But I'm committed to learning. I'm committed to recording with the 7 people before I even launched. I was committed to starting to record while I was 6 months pregnant. And podcasting has changed my life. I would say that it's changed a lot of lives because I have a daughter. She gets to come down here. She plays in the studio. She looks at all the stuff. She wants to know what's happening. I've since started 2 other podcasts, one with a co-host, one that was just me speaking. And I own a business where I launch podcasts for other people and I manage podcasts for other people. So podcasting absolutely showed me that there were more things out there. But what I think is most important is that it showed me that I could take a risk and I could stand on that risk. I could say, okay, I'm going to do something new. No, but like, I'm going to do something new. I love this show. I love sharing stories with other people. I love promoting their brands and sharing things about them. So thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you for hanging out with me for 6 years. Even when I say that, it's comical because I cannot see an ending. Right. One time when I was working full time and doing the podcast and working with clients, I was like, can I hire someone to host the show? I need to get that off my plate. I started it now, but I love it. At the end of the day, I love it, especially when I get to manage it on my own and manage it in a way that fits into my life, which includes recording 1 day a month, being recorded far, far in advance, things like that, right? So if you love this video, I'm sure you will absolutely like this next one, all right? I'll see you in the next video. Go create something.